Good afternoon, all, and welcome to another episode of the FirstCall Facility Focus Forum. I'm your host, Rob Vaughan, here for episode number 8 with an awesome guest today, the renowned Mr. Joel Lowery from our FirstCall Group team. Joel, it's great to have you today.
It's great to be here, Rob, and I appreciate probably first time in my career I've ever been called renowned.
Oh, well, then you're underestimating yourself then, sir, because we are here to talk about a topic today that you specialize in to the fullest, building optimal energy efficiency through strategic approach and proactive planning. So this is an area that you've thrived in. You know, Joel, in your career, you've enjoyed the opportunity and blessing of working with a number of large and small companies nationwide. Have you ever had a point in your entire multi-year, maybe multi-decade career where energy savings have been more important than they are right now?
I don't think so. I tell you, there's a lot of influences right now with cost of energy going up, lack of energy supply, having such a major impact, grid stability. And with the flux of renewable energy and EV, there's just a lot of factors right now that affect the supply and demand of electricity and the impact it's having on costs around the country and for our customers. So I would say no, this is a very important factor right now.
You know, I'm glad you mentioned the cost of energy going up because a lot of projects are driven by energy savings with LED. We look at, anywhere from 50 to 90% wattage reduction. HVAC, we talk about utility savings with wattage reduction. But you mentioned something that's kind of underrated, and that it's not just the wattage reduction in savings with lighting and with HVAC, but it's the cost of utility rates are going up drastically. And a lot of times that's to pay for rebate programs that people have benefited from. So I'm glad you brought that up specifically. Businesses, regardless of industry right now, are tasked with reducing facility maintenance costs, managing budgets, working through countless transitions. How can we best help companies to develop a budget for energy savings projects?
So just before I answer that, I do want to make sure that when I think of energy, I think of water as well. It's not just electricity and gas, but water. Water is becoming much more of an endangered commodity, really for numerous reasons. Some of which is the data center crave for water and ability to cool off the servers in these data centers. But really, the first thing that any company needs to do before you can budget for CapEx or future reduction, especially as it relates to energy savings and op savings, is create a baseline. Right? You need to know what you're spending now. You need to have an understanding of what you're comparing to before you can actually quantify the savings. That's imperative. It's just like you set your eye on a single fixed point. When that moves, the relativity of the data changes, right? So that's the first and most important thing, is understanding what you're spending now. I would actually suggest that anybody that's interested in saving energy, whether it's for your budget's tight, some areas that mandated greenhouse gas reductions with penalties. There's a lot of different reasons to want to look at your energy and operational savings, but create that baseline. I would suggest you hire a professional like FirstCall to come in and really get a couple of years worth of utility data, operational spend, and understand what you're spending. And then from there, with a professional audit from a company like FirstCall, you could come up with a list of ideas that both affect, let's just say, age of the equipment, how old's the equipment, what's the condition of the equipment, where you spend a lot of repair dollars. I mean, one of the things that we see often, Rob, is people replacing compressors in a HVAC unit that's 30 years old. I mean, that's like putting a brand new engine in a 30-year-old car. At some point, you need to look at getting a new car.
Yeah,
So
exactly.
taking all that into consideration is very important. And then budgets, right? How do we look at let's just say 5 years out, given the condition of the equipment, and really build out a proactive plan through these audits to address this so that you're not left stranded, right? Things break at the worst times, and it typically costs a lot more to replace equipment in an emergency situation than if you're doing it proactively.
Yeah, and I love that you brought up the water too, because that's a big initiative for a lot of companies right now and something that's become a lot more prevalent. And just your the way you verbalized it, it's more of a strategic approach and a situation analysis is the term that I like to use to begin. Like take a deep breath, look back and have a proactive plan and measure three times and cut once. And that kind of brings me to my next question. I feel like a lot of people talk about everything we just mentioned with the water saving initiatives, the HVAC utility, lighting utility, gas utility. And I think the word project gets a negative connotation because people have said, "Oh, we don't have the budget for a project." But does that word in your mind carry a negative connotation right now? Because the way you said it, it's more about having a budget, a situation analysis, and a proactive plan as much as labeling it as a project, right?
Yeah, I think it's a competitive opportunity for our customers to be strategic when they look at replacing assets. I mean, the reality of when assets break is it isn't an opportune time typically. And if you've not taken the time to budget for it, it typically means you got to cut something else out of your budget to replace it. So if that happens, uh, assuming that you took the time and everything in your budget is important, what else is going to suffer, right? There's no need to have this suffering. So if you take advantage of understanding your equipment, actually planning out the CapEx where you potentially do not have the CapEx, you finance. Financing has a negative connotation in the context of CapEx, but I'll tell you this: one of the things that people need to look at is when the cost of the interest rates is less than the escalation of the utility rates, it's a good time to finance, right? If I'm going to pay more every year in utilities, then you're going to save money by paying the interest if it's less than the cost of the escalation, right? So, and there's a lot of great programs out there that are on balance sheet, off balance sheet. It's things that FirstCall can help with. Very easy, very painless. Terms can be 1 year to 10 years, just depending on what your current situation is and the cost of the asset. But projects are not negative if you plan for them, right? It's only negative when you haven't taken the time to realize that you're going to have to invest and you've made that effort to plan for that.
Yeah, and I know we help a lot from a consultative standpoint too, cost free, in helping people to make the right decisions, look at the different financing options, and really develop. I continue to drive away from that terms projects and talk more about a strategic approach and a strategy that works budgetarily for everyone, whether you have, five locations of massive distribution centers or whether you're a retailer with, 500 stores.
Correct.
When you look at HVAC specifically, among energy saving strategies, what are you seeing that is most critical in helping businesses budget proactively right now from an HVAC perspective?
So again, I think you have your baseline created, you have this audit done, or you do your own audit, right? But I would recommend that you get a professional. Create a list, right, based on your priorities. That could be quick and easy hits. LEDs. LEDs are a great payback, improve the quality of the workplace, the learning environment, the buying experience, right? So do the quick and easy, fast ROI types of energy savings, and then plan for the medium to high expenses. HVAC to me is a medium expense because of the long life cycle that a piece of HVAC equipment, typically 15 to 20 years if you have proper maintenance. So from a payback standpoint, it's really a medium consideration, especially if you consider financing, right? And then you got long-term roofs, building envelope, solar, those types of things. So my experience is you take a building as a holistic item, like an organism. When I change out lighting, for instance, when that building was designed, the engineer designed it that it was expecting a certain heat load coming from the lights. When you replace them with LEDs, you're taking that heat out of the building. So how does that affect HVAC? Do I need to add extra heat? Do I have enough capacity? So it's like I said, it's an organism. One system affects the other organism, the other process, and you really need to understand the interaction between the systems inside of a building when you do this. And again, we'd love to help with that.
Yeah, and I think like so many of these projects begin as energy savings initiatives with paybacks and specific ROIs or ROI variances, whether they're financed or paid for in full. And then so many of these other projects have so many layers to them. HVAC projects can begin with efficiency, and then the maintenance savings actually outweigh the energy efficiency. LED projects are done with an 18-month ROI for utility savings, and then when you get the 10-year warranty on new product, the maintenance savings are astronomical. And then I always talk about company rapport and the impact on the employees when you make that upgrade and what that does. And we've had clients say, if I'd have known that my employee feedback was going to be this good, I'd have done that project 8 years ago. And that's the thing that no one envisions. So there's just so many layers of check marks that go with these projects from energy savings and beyond that make them so enticing.
Layer in rebates and grants that are out
Sure.
there. That's just another component that you need to be aware of, because it does have an effect to the ROI when you can get free money to help offset these costs.
No, I'm glad you mentioned that because we worked with some great partners on that. And, lighting rebates years ago paid for 100% of projects. Now they pay for anywhere from 10 to 30%, depending on the region or the utility. But, we're still in the early phases of EV chargers where rebates can pay for even more of those for people. And, that's something we're supporting with. And
Right.
then the HVAC. So, Joel, you've had such an awesome collective career, and we're so blessed to have you with the First Call team. In your many endeavors, what's your favorite part about your job and what you get to do on the day to day?
So, I mean, the very easy answer is I love the people that I work with. Rob, you are so phenomenal. I
Come
love
on.
working with you and the other folks. Um, I will tell you the cool part is technology is changing so fast. Uh, it's very interesting to see when we try to help customers. And there's really never any bad projects. There's just bad timing. And technology, just sit around and wait, it's going to change and improve ROIs, and cost will come down. So I really like, especially this is really a long-term play, not a short-term play. I love to see the innovation and the changes that come about. And there's some smart people out there, right, that really uh, enjoy creating and coming up with some pretty cool things that help business owners cut cost and improve the buying environment. And I really like that. I like to see all the changes that happen.
Well, I love that too, and I could mirror your answer. I know we both love to work with people, and I think, customizing the solution for the specific business is fun too, because when it comes to everything we talked about today, there's not just one answer. And it's asking the right questions and finding out what people's budgets are, what their goals are, what their priorities are, and making sure we find the right fit for them. And I know you love that. It's something that our team really excels with. But it sounds like we should probably have a part two of the Energy Savings Initiative podcast down the road here. But I have to empower other guests with our vendor partnerships and our field partners out there. So we will have you back again, Mr. Lowery.
I
And
appreciate it.
I really appreciate you and your time today. We'll
Thank-
talk soon, okay?
Thanks for the opportunity.
Thanks a million, man. Thank you.